back to my channel. Today we are going to be making this dress. It's going to be a very quick tutorial, just a very loose fitting dress with a band at the top. So this is it here. So the first thing you're going to do is to measure down you measure the length you want to use. So normally when people are making off shoulder, they come down 4 inches from their shoulder to the top part here. So they normally come down 4 inches, but since this person is more on, like, is going to be XXL, double X, so I'm going to be coming down like 6 inches from her shoulder down to where this band is going to start. So after that, the next thing you're going to do is when you come down from the shoulder, you're going to measure the length you want to use. So if the length I'm going to use, the length of this dress is going to be 39. So 39 inches, I'm going to subtract from that 39. 39 is the total full length of the dress. That's including the band. So if that 39 that I got, I'm going to subtract 2 inches from it. 2 inches is going to be my band. You can make your band bigger than 2 inches if you want it broader, but I'm just going to make it 2 inches band. So the 2 inches band subtracted from the 39, which is the total length of this dress, is going to be 37. So to that 37, I'm going to add 1.5 to it. The 1.5 is because half an inch is what I'm going to use to gather this into the band, and then the other 1 inch is going to use to fold the end of this dress. So the body of this dress is going to be 37 inches, right? Plus extra 1.5. So that's going to be 38.5. And then my band is going to be 2 inches. So that's what I have here. 38.5 is what I have here. And then what I'm going to do next is, so guys, this is my full 2.5 yards of fabric. So you see, this is the top part here, this is the end here. So this is what I cut out, and then from this piece that I cut out is where I'm going to get my band. So I'm going to set this aside and deal with the body of the dress. So the next thing you're going to do, you see my fabric is still folded. So this is the 2.5 yards of fabric complete. I'm going to separate it on one side. So now I'm going to have my front and back panel. So you have to join it and like fold it into two equal. So fold it into 2 equal parts, right? And then you're going to split open one end. So now you have your front and your back panel, right? So now that I've split it, I'm going to fold it into 2 again. So I'm going to fold it over again. So now that I've folded it, if you look at this end, you see that I have like, it's folded almost like 4 pieces here. 1, 2, and then 3, 4. So I'm going to just go over. So this is going to be the top part here, and this is going to be the end of the dress. The end here and the top part here. So this is the fold here. So like I said before, this is going to be for double XL. So the bust measurement of this person is like 48 inches already. So what I'm going to do now is that's why I'm using about 2.5 yards. For someone, it depends on how much flare you want. For someone that is like, maybe if you want, you can even use, depending on how flare you want it to be. This person is already big, and if I make the gather too big, it might just look too much. So that's why I'm using 2.5. It might not be as flowy as how it is on the picture. But if this person is like, if you're using 2.5 for someone that is large, then you might get exactly what you have on the picture. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to sew, like I said before, this is going to be the top part of the dress. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to come in here. So guys, you see how this one is here, like at the armhole, you can see there's some skin showing, almost like side boobs, because this dress is free. So if you want, you can make your armhole very wide. It depends on you. But what I'm going to do here now is I've drawn in my shoulder, like I said before. So let's say this is your normal bodice and shoulder, right? You came down from your shoulder 6 inches is what I said I'm going to use, right? So this is where my off shoulder is going to cut off on the person, and then I'm going to have my band and then the body of the dress, right? So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to place back my tape. So this is the 6 inches where my off shoulder is going to start. So this is where my off shoulder is going to start on the body. And then remember, I have 2 inches of band that is still going to be added on top of this here. So that's going to make it 8. So now we are at 8. And then the armhole I'm working with here is about 20. The armhole I'm working with is 26. So the person is big, like I said before. So 13 inches divided by 2, that's going to be 13 inches, right? So, but if you want, what you can always do, if you don't want to just check it this way, the way I'm checking it now, is you can just maybe use about 4 inches by, like mark 4 inches by 4 inches for your armhole, right? Or 4 inches by 5 inches, because remember, you're still going to take away 1 inch here when you go to join the sides. So what I'm going to do now is the 13 inches that I already marked, which is on this line, I'm just going to draw it in to 5 inches, right? So I'm going to stop at 5 inches here and then mark it up here. So I got the length here using the armhole, which is 13 inches, right? That if I place it here and this is the person's shoulder, this is normally going to be my normal armhole. My 2 inches of band, the 6 inches of off shoulder, and then normal armhole is what I'm going to mark in here, right? I'm going to give it a curve, and then I came in by 5 inches here. You might think the 5 inches is too much, but remember, I'm still going to take away my seam allowance when I go to join it, and this is what will be left here considering this person's size. So this 1 inch already will be folded in when I go to join the seam allowance, and then I'll be left with just this opening here. So I'm just going to go ahead now. All I have to do is just cut this out. So guys, after this now, what I'm going to do next is just notch the center, so that when I go to gather up this flay, I'll know where the center is. So I've notched this part here, and then I'm also going to cut out the pocket I'll use for this. So the next thing I'm going to do now is to come down maybe like 10 inches from under the armhole. So this is where my pocket is going to be, 10 inches down from this armhole here, and then I'm going to notch it. So I'm going to go and put in my pocket here. The next thing, so guys, I've cut out my band. So basically what I'm using here is about 5 inches of width, because remember, like I said before, I want, when I fold it this way, I want to have 2 inches of band here. So 2 inches of the length of the band. So that's why I have 5 inches here, so that when I fold it into 2, I'm going to have 2.5, because 5 inches divided by 2, that's going to be 2.5, right? So the extra 0.5 is going to be that half an inch I'm going to fold in here, and then fold in another half an inch on this part here, and then putting the gather from the dress into it. So if you remove the half an inch on each side, the front and the other side, you're going to be left with 2 inches total. So that's why I have that here. And then this is the length of my band here. So I might still go ahead and increase it more, because I feel like this might be too short. And then I'm going to just split it into 2. One is going to be for the front, and then one is going to be from the front, and then the second one is going to be for the back part of it. So this is it right here. So guys, this is the armhole part. So I've gone ahead and used bias to finish it. Another thing you can do is just fold it on itself, like fold it how you normally fold the end of your cloth, or you can use bias. So I decided to use bias to finish it. So I've done all of them. So the next thing I'm going to do now is to go ahead and put in my band. So like I said before, I notched the center, right, so that I'll know where the center of this top part of the dress is. So now this is my band. I've folded it into 2, one for the front, one for the back. This is what it looks like, right? If I open it up, it's 5 inches of width. If I fold it, it's 2.5, but the 0.5 is still going to be folded in this way, right? So this is one of my band. This is the second band. So what you're going to do at this point, see one band here, this is the second one. So what you're going to do at this point is to mark your center. So you're going to take this tape and measure from one side of your armhole to the other side on top of your bust, so that you will figure out how much of it you will need, or you can use your shoulder measurement and subtract 1 from it, which is what I'm going to be doing here. So the shoulder measurement I'm working with is so the shoulder measurement I'm going to be using is like 17.5, almost 18. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to divide it by 2, which is 9, and then subtract 1 from it, which is going to be 8. So that 8 is what I'm going to mark here. So I'm going to just mark my center, so I know that this is my center. If you want, you can just notch it. So this is my center when folded, you see. Let me open it again. So you see it's folded into two. So I took my band, folded it into two. Now let me remove this so you can see it better. So I took my band, folded it, I folded it this way, and then folded it again the way I'm going to place it. So the next thing I did equally at the end, I marked my center, and then from that center of the folded part, this is going to be my center front. I'm going to mark that measurement, which is 8 that I got. Remember, like I said, you can use your shoulder measurements divided by 2 and then minus 1 from it. So I'm going to transfer this 8 inches on the two sides, or you can just measure above your bust from one armhole to the other where you want to place it. So this is it here. So I'm going to transfer this measurement on the second one. So remember, one band is for the front, the second one is for the back. So mark my center and then transfer this 8 inches on it too. So the next thing you're going to do now is at this point, you can open it up now and see what you've marked. So this is the distance of the flay. So like the center one is the center point, and then these two are where the band will stop at the side before I get to the armhole. So what I'm going to do now is you're going to take one of your, like the way it is now is folded. I have 2 of it here, right? So I'm going to just separate one and show you guys with one of it. So this notch that I made here is the center of this body of the dress. So this center is going to be attached to this center of the band, and then this part here, this armhole part, is going to be at this point, and then the other end of this armhole part is going to be at this point. So everything in between, you're going to gather it inside of this band. So this is how you're going to do it. You go to your sewing machine, fold this 1/2 inch in, and then 1/2 inch at the end here. So you see I have this point here. So this is it here. You go to your sewing machine, fold in 1/2 inch here, and then fold in 1/2 inch at the end. So you've gotten this folded part here. You're going to take this notch that shows that this is your center. You see my notch here. You're going to fix it inside of this here. Remember, you left 1/2 inch to join this, and then you're going to place it on top, and then you're going to start pleating it, just like pulling it together like you're making a girder all the way, distributing it all the way till when you get to this point, you know that this is where the girder would stop, right? So you're going to just keep folding this like this, and then when you get to this point and you've joined this armhole part of it to this point, you also fold it and just keep on like you're making a belt to the end. You're going to do it on the 2 of them. But for this, because the person is extra large, I'm not going to be using a girder. Instead, I'm just going to use something that looks like a pleat. Because if I can imagine if I use girder on this, it will be puffy on top of her bust, it will make her look big. So to avoid that, I'm just going to give it like a kissing plate on top of it here, fix it in here, and do the 2 of them. So guys, like I said before, you see I used pleat for this because the person is more on the bigger side. So if you want, you can still use girder for yours. This is what it looks like right now. You see one side is done. This is the armhole. So it's just to tie it on this side, on the sleeve. So you see how I finished it up. So the same way I continued my stitch is just how I finished it. So I just kept on making the stitch all the way to the end. When I got to the end here, I tucked in the excess and then made a stitch all the way. So that's how I finished it on the 2 sides, the back and the front. So on this side now, all I have to do is go back in, close up this side, right, make my stitch, close up this armhole side, and then put in my pocket at the end, and then after that go ahead and fold the rough end, and that will be it. So guys, I've gone ahead and finished up the other side, and this is my pocket here. So I just used lining for that because the fabric is finished. So this is basically it on the 2 sides. So this is what it looks like, yeah, and this is the top part here. So thank you guys so much for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe. Bye.